since we knew that we wanted to set that story in a completely different area, in a completely new area, Southeast Asia, we were convinced that Edward would be the perfect character to support that story. What's interesting is that the story is set later in his life, so he's a bit older. He is, I'd say, a seasoned character now, and it will be interesting to see how the Edward we knew in Black Flag evolved into that seasoned pirate who still has that taste for adventure and a good fight, of course.
I have one final question that kind of alludes to something you had mentioned earlier when you were teasing. Are you able to share how long the webtoon will be? Like, how long can we expect to sail with Edward again?
So that's something I didn't explain at the beginning, but webtoon, it's a serialized format. It really works like a TV show. So you have a weekly episode launching every week for a long period of time. We plan for the first season to have 40 to 50 episodes, so that's roughly one entire year of content, and that's only the first season, but we really want to have several seasons, probably 3 at least. So if you start reading that story, you know that you're sailing for 3 years, probably, along that storyline and with that character.
Yeah, I guess that's a lot more robust than I was expecting. That is obviously going to be an amazing opportunity to relive this story and to jump back in over the course of the next several years. So I think I speak for a lot of Assassin's Creed fans when I say thank you, Etienne. Being able to sail with Edward once again is going to be super exciting. So keep your eyes peeled. Edward will be back on all Webtoon platforms this summer. I'm really eager to speak with our next guest about her experience adapting the Assassin's Creed universe into novels. Kate Hartfield is with us today to discuss The Magus Conspiracy, the first novel in a brand new original trilogy called The Engine of History. These books will be published by Aconite Books, which will be launched this summer in English and shortly after in many other languages.
Very happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. Kate, can you share a bit about yourself and your past work for those who may be unfamiliar? I heard you were recently a Sunday Times best-selling writer from the Embroidered Book.
I was, yeah, that was quite the surprise. Yeah, so The Embroidered Book is my most recent novel. It's about Marie Antoinette and her sister Charlotte, but they're magicians, that's the twist. So that came out in February in the UK and elsewhere and is just about to come out in North America. I've also written a few other books with historical settings and a couple of interactive fiction projects for Choice of Games. So I usually do work in historical settings, and this is my first time writing anything for Assassin's Creed.
That's amazing. So it seems like kind of like a natural evolution, like the next step in this history genre for you. So obviously, as this is the first time writing for Assassin's Creed for this novel, so obviously the time period is incredibly multifaceted. What made 19th century Europe the backdrop for this particular story? Although I suspect that I might know the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, one of the things I think that appealed to us about this period is the rise of assassinations, of political assassinations in the 19th century. So, you know, Queen Victoria had 8 attempts on her life, all of which she survived. Several monarchs were not so lucky. So it was, you know, there were a lot of political turmoil going on in this century and a lot of assassination and, you know, power was crumbling in a lot of ways. We had the revolutions in 1848 that swept across Europe, and even though they didn't succeed in all of their aims, everything seemed to be changing and the old structures were falling down. So it seemed like a natural century to explore a little bit more what was going on with the Assassins and Templars during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the nature of the history obviously brings into question the historical figures of the time. I know Ada Lovelace is a big component of the novel. How present would you say she is, and how meaningful are her contributions to mathematics play in the overall narrative?
Yeah, so Ada Lovelace we know today mostly as sort of the foremother of the modern computer. You know, she's one of the very central figures in the idea of the invention of the computer and sort of foresaw it in a way with her work with Charles Babbage. But she died very young. She died at the age of 36 in 1851. and my book covers a longer period after that. So she's not around for the entire book, but she's a presence in it. And one thing that I found really interesting about her is because she died so young, and she had already done this incredibly formative work, and she had all kinds of other things on the go and all kinds of other projects, just had an amazing brain. And a lot of her papers were destroyed after she died because she was as scandalous as her father, Lord Byron, so many things were kind of swept under the rug. So there was a lot of scope there to imagine what else she might have been working on and what else she might have done had she lived. So I explore that a little bit in the book.
To your point earlier, you mentioned them being built as very compelling characters. What do you think are the elements that make a compelling Assassin's Creed story?
I do think character is really key to all of the Assassin's Creed stories. You know, there's so much scope to explore complex personalities because assassins are, by their nature, complex. I mean, that's the entire foundation of the creed, is that, you know, nothing is as simplistic as it might appear. Paradox is built right in, so we have the ingredients for interesting characters with internal conflict right there. So I do think that every character that we see in Assassin's Creed is really the foundation of the story, and the two main characters in this book, Simeon and Pierrette, are both complex and have you know, a lot going on and a lot of choices to make, and so I think that's what I found interesting about their story. The other thing that I really love about any Assassin's Creed story, obviously, as you can tell from my background, is that I do love history, and I love being able to work within known history and ask questions about what might have been. And you know, in a novel, you can't really recreate that incredible sense when you play an Assassin's Creed game and you're up on the rooftops and you think, I am actually in Paris. You know, like, it's, you know, you can't create that sense of immersion, but you can have a different kind of immersion. And so I tried to kind of echo that sense of being there in prose as much as I could.
Amazing. Well, I want to say thank you so much for your time and for your energy, Kate. Novels are able to weave such rich narrative worlds, and I'm thrilled to be able to jump into the story you've created, and a story that you'll be able to pick up in your local bookstores or online retailers very soon.
Thanks so much.
Well, friends, that's it for today. We're working on a bunch of amazing projects, and I hope that something you saw today has sparked excitement for you to go in and explore Assassin's Creed in a different way. I'd like to say a final big thank you to all of our guests. The excitement and insights you've been able to provide us have been incredibly interesting to hear, and I also want to say a final big thank you to all of you. These projects are an embodiment of the passion that you have for this franchise, and we will continue to expand our worlds together while also revisiting some iconic characters from the franchise. So don't forget to keep your eyes out for the anniversary celebrations taking place for Assassin's Creed 15th year anniversary. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all soon.